I'm going to introduce a concept to you that I love. It's called a gratitude practice. It's a little different than some of the gratitude practices that you may already be doing or have heard about, where you make a list of the things that you're thankful for first thing in the morning or before you go to bed at night. And those are all good too. I particularly like this one because there's quite a bit of neuroscience behind it. So to start with, we have traits and states. And the gratitude practice actually focuses on states. And these are characteristics in our behavior, in our way of seeing the world that can change. And that's important for us because it's very easy for us to be negative. In fact, we're sort of tipped, the seesaw is tipped a little bit that way. And then of course the other one is traits. And traits, that's pretty much who we are, our essential self. That's who we are. So what's malleable? The states. And there's an amazing study that was done recently. And what the study demonstrated was that people's heart rates actually corresponded very closely. The little gap in between each heartbeat corresponded very closely, despite the fact that these people were located in different areas. None of them were next to each other. They were all listening to a story. And as they were listening to the story, it was demonstrated that their heartbeats were all getting in sync. And what that tells us is amazing, the power of the narrative or of the story that can coordinate our physiology. And our physiology, as it turns out, is affected directly by the gratitude practice in the way that we have the seesaw that I mentioned, and the seesaw can be tipped more towards anxiety, upset, or happiness, well-being, and actually motivation. So how do we do that? Well, I just demonstrated that the story is very important. And so what we do is establish either our own story or somebody else's story that is very moving to us and that demonstrates gratitude, thankfulness. There's a component that's really important, and that is that it needs to be the same story. So you may have lots of opportunities to give thanks or that you've received thanks, and you just need to choose one. And what it is our neurocircuits get connected in with, oh, it's that story again. Oh, it's that story again. Yeah. Oh, I remember how I felt. Oh, I feel the same way. Oh, that feels good. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. And then also as far as what time of day, any time of day, doesn't matter. I think it's a good idea to have a routine of some sort so you don't, so you don't forget. So I do it off and on whenever I think of it, and it's like a minute or a half a minute. Really, really easy. And, I'd mentioned frequency, you could do, that I do it every day. It's easy for me. It should not be a chore. You want to pick something that feels, ooh, I can't wait to do that again because it feels so good. An example of this is a story that's very moving. And what the story is there was a woman who was near death. She needed medicine desperately. And another prisoner risked his life, he was a doctor, to get the medicine for her and saved her life. And can you imagine how thankful she was? Unbelievable. So that's an example of, you could listen to that and hear the incredible thanks and feel the incredible thanks that she had. So you notice in that story is embedded receiving gratitude. That's important. Our neurocircuits are major ways that we organize things in our minds. And there's a robust affiliation with other people's story. It actually can shift our physiology. So you can find someone else's story, and if you do that, there's a few points that we need to make sure we get to, and one of them is we need to identify what the struggle was. So in this case, this woman was near death. So that was a pretty intense struggle. And then what the help was. Well, that was the doctor who saved her. And then how it impacted you. Well, how can you possibly hear that story and not be impacted, right? So we want to shift our physiology to the parasympathetic, or the rest and digest state of mind. Be letting go, not holding on so tight. And as a result of that, we can experience joy. That sounds good. All right, I'll tell you another approach. Another approach is to identify your own story, something that's really meaningful to you. So we need to make sure that the thanks is heartfelt. So in my case, what I received was heartfelt thanks. I could tell, I could feel it. So here's what my story is. Now, what the struggle is, or was in this story, this is a family who I love dearly and I've known for a long time. And they lost their son to suicide. This boy is gone. And so now the family is picking themselves back up. How do they proceed? Well, they had this idea to go to the beach, that might be healing for them. And everybody could go but the youngest daughter, the 20-year-old daughter. And she couldn't go because she has a dog, a 1-year-old dog, and this is her first dog. And also she just really didn't want to go. It just didn't feel right to her. But she had the dog as the excuse. So I said, hey, I could take care of your dog. And it was really clear, no. And it wasn't that she didn't trust me. She just was churned up, understandably so, of course. Well, the day before they were going to leave, she decided to let me take care of her dog. And so when they were coming back to pick up the dog, she and her dad, so here's my story. And this is the heartfelt part that, I actually experience this wonderful memory every day, because I do this every day. So I know they're coming. They called me, they're coming, like 15 minutes. The doorbell rings, I know it's them. I open the door, and there Andy is. Not his name, different name. There Andy is standing down on the bottom in front of the door. And there Julie is, not her name, standing up into the house. And so I see both of them. I see their faces. I see their beautiful, radiant smiles. And I see all the flowers they brought to me as a thank you. So they come into the home, and their little dog is right there, their sweet little 1-year-old puppy. And they knew, of course, that I would take good care of them. And that feeling of how grateful they were that I helped make sure that they all got to all be together. And this actually, there's other parts of the story, and that's quite often the way it will be, that fuel the story. And in my case, what has fueled this particular story is I've been very involved in helping to do anything that I could ever since their son died. And so this was a thank you that was just the best. So it got all the components. There was a struggle, obviously the death, and then also not so sure. They really wanted everybody to be there. That was important, especially because the brother that is dead couldn't be there. So they wanted everybody who could be there to be there. And then what the help was, well, I got to help. And then how it impacted me deeply, profoundly. Okay, so how often do we do this study? This practice. You can do it just even once a week. The studies were actually done on people, I think it was once a week. It doesn't matter. You can do it every day. Why not do it every day? How long does it need to be? 1 minute. It can just be 1 minute. Now, a lot of the studies were done in a 5-minute period. And the actual story and the part I just demonstrated for you, that's about 1 minute or maybe 2 minutes. Additionally, if you would like to do some relaxation beforehand, such as physiological sigh, taking a deep breath in, sip a little bit of air at the end, and then sigh it back out. And there are many other yogic breathing techniques. A real easy one is to take a deep breath in for the count of 4. And when I say deep breath, not up into your chest, down into your belly. And, do it up to the count of 4, and then exhale out to the count of 6. And whatever your count is, you want your exhale to be about 2 counts more. So that facilitates the parasympathetic. And, if you come into this practice first thing in the morning and you're all nice and rested, you just get right to it. 1 minute, boom, done. You're ready to go to bed, you're relaxed, you're ready to go to sleep, right before you go to sleep. And the thing that's so amazing is it really feels good. And it decreases anxiety. It decreases that terrible anxiety feeling that we can all have. And it really increases our sense of well-being. Additionally, which is really interesting, it helps with our motivation. The studies have demonstrated that these are long-lasting effects. So it's not just right at the moment, it's long-term. And then additionally, whoever it is that you're experiencing the thankfulness from, as well as the story, anytime you're experiencing that gratitude, whoever those people are, yeah, that continues to be given to them. But then additionally, it's generalized. So that's pretty neat too. And then one other thing is it helps with trauma. So past trauma, it helps decrease the anxiety that's attendant to that, as well as helps us be more resilient for future trauma. So I invite you to give it a try. It's easy. It's a self-loving thing to do. And it's not just self-loving. So we get to experience the joy, the awe, the happiness ourselves. We get to share that. If you like my videos, please click the subscribe button and click the notify bell so you can get all my new videos.